Next year would have been 1.267 and some change million for the next year. They increased their contract. We had an option, the city had an option to renew it with a 3.5% escalator clause. We chose not to do that. What we did is we increased a third advanced life support ambulance, which is an ALS ambulance, and we broke down the city into 3 districts. We used to have 2 districts now. So we did a 20-year cost analysis study on it. There is substantial savings over a 10-year period for the city. In the first 3 years, there's an average savings of around $200,000 a year from going from the contract service to our own firefighters. The remaining 17 years differs because it depends on the retirement of firefighters and the hiring of the new firefighters. The addition of the third ambulance helps everyone in the city. What it does is it reduces the response time, okay? And EMS response is based on the critical 6 minutes. If you're not breathing, you're not getting oxygen, you're losing oxygen, and there goes your vitals, and it goes downhill from there. We also upgraded our EKG from a 3-lead to a 12-lead. We're still in the process of that. We have purchased all the equipment for it.
Thank you, Chief. And I might add that with the hiring of the 12 new officers, with the expenses for equipment, with the insurance that's going to come along with that, those savings has taken that all into account. It's taken it all into account. Before we as a city agreed to this program with our union, we have schedules of every dollar to know that this was going to result in a savings to our community. So that $200,000 has taken everything into account. So I want to thank our fire department, our union members, as well as our chief who guided me through this whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we had one of the best fire departments in the surrounding communities to begin with. Now we're going to be even better. And that third ambulance, we had 3 ambulances. They were ours to begin with. But to go from a basic life support to an advanced life support is a world of difference. Also, just in case anybody's not aware, both our fire department and our police department does have citizens academies where you can ride along, do some of the functions that a fire or policeman does do, and you learn about what they actually do. That's done for several reasons. Number one, it's done to let the resident know what these people are doing out there on your behalf. It lets you have an understanding of the difficult nature of their jobs, and it also puts them out into the community so that they can see the appreciation that we have as residents that don't always come in contact with them. So again, those are great programs. If anybody's interested, after this, you can talk to either one of these gentlemen. Another area where we did some changes is our Public Works Department. I was tired as an alderman of receiving phone calls from my residents in the 7th Ward that our streets weren't plowed, that the snow was all over, that our salt was mixed with sand and it's going down our sewers. So one of the first things I did was look into our Public Works Department. Under new director, Bob Schiller, I'm proud to say that I received not one complaint about snow on the streets over this past winter. In fact, our Public Works employees were so conscientious and so dedicated to their job under the new director that I had people coming from outside the city of Berwyn, outside Cook County, hitting our towns during snowstorms, wondering what we were doing because our streets were clean, and theirs and their communities, where they pay much higher taxes than us, were not. So my hat goes off to Director Bob Schiller, as well as our Public Works Department, who have done a phenomenal job over the last year, and I thank them for their cooperation. In addition, based on Director Schiller's advice, the City Council approved funds for a salt dome so that we can preserve our salt supplies, so that we were able to save $8,000 to $10,000 this past winter in lost salt. We did not lose it. We saved 8 to 10,000. In addition, we have supplies that are going to get us started on next winter because that salt's being preserved for next year. That $100,000 dome is going to save us $8 to $10,000 a year. In 10 years, it's paid for itself, and that's just the minor cost. That doesn't include the costs of the runoff that we could have experienced into our sewer system from the melting salt and sand which we used in previous years. So once again, I want to thank Bob Schiller for his idea to get that done. And I want to thank my city council for understanding the importance of that. The other area that we revamped is our attorneys, our legal services. We have an in-house staff attorney, Tony Bertuca, who has revamped our legal system. In the first 5 months, I guess it is, we have saved approximately $200,000 in attorney's fees compared to the similar time last year. And the reason we've been able to do that, is because we took away the attorney from the foreclosures downstairs, and one of our city employees has graciously accepted to do that herself. We saved about $140,000 a year in that alone. In addition, because Tony Bertuca is here 8 hours a day, oftentimes longer, like some of us are, he does a lot of the work that we used to farm out to outside counsel. In addition, we use outside counsel, obviously out of necessity for a lot of different cases. He was able to tell them all, you want to work for the city of Berwyn? You do it at $165 an hour instead of your normal $300. Do you know of an attorney that works for $165 an hour? Every attorney that does work for the city of Berwyn has a document that they sign that said they're going to charge us no more than $165 an hour. So I want to thank Tony Bertuca for his reorganization and the amount of work that he undertook to do around here at City Hall. Some of the other items that I want to note, the mayor's office is bilingual. I have a bilingual secretary. The city administrator's office is bilingual. He is a bilingual secretary. We are NIMS certified. I believe we're close to that 100% because our training officer in the fire department, Tony Loretto, after about 5 years ago, most of us aldermen undertook one class for NIMS certification. Everything dropped off by the wayside. We were jeopardizing disaster funds should something happen here what we would not get from the federal government. We were jeopardizing grant opportunities because we were not NIMS certified. Right now, based on his organization and based on the police department's cooperation in doing instructions, especially Officer Lustillo, we are close to 100% NIMS certified with most of our elected officials as well as our city employees that need to be. So we're almost there. So we need to carry on with our NIMS certification because we cannot afford to jeopardize the loss of federal disaster funds because we haven't done our homework. We cannot afford to pass up the grants that we've uncovered through our grant administrator, Treasurer Joe Kroc, and his grant coordinator, Jim Capsa, from Cook County Homeland Security, because we are not NIMS certified. We are very, very close, and we will be there. In addition, we've reduced our property insurance rates. Our broker this year went out and got us more coverage, especially after our city administrator found out that our $5 million fire truck was not covered. We got that covered immediately the first day he came into office. We got more coverage at a cheaper premium than we paid last year. So Megan Pirelli, our insurance broker, did us wonders on that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Vince Bertuca, our health insurance broker, who got our health insurance premium down from original 22% increase from last year to just under 10% this year. Again, Vince, thanks you very much. CDBG, the rehabilitation plan that they filed with the federal government, has been approved. We are in line to receive approximately $1.3 million in neighborhood stabilization funds, which will help us to buy some of these foreclosed homes, rehab them,